Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Atlanta, Georgia, it's time for Atlanta Business Radio. Brought to you by OnPay. Built in Atlanta, OnPay is the top-rated payroll and HR software anywhere. Get 1 month free at onpay.com. Now, here's your host.
Lee Cantor here, another episode of Atlanta Business Radio, and this is going to be a good one. But before we get started, it's important to thank our sponsor, OnPay. Without them, we couldn't be sharing these stories. Today on Atlanta Business Radio, we have Jeff Patterson, and he is with Phoenix Parking Solutions. Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you. Good morning, Lee.
Now, before we get too far into things, tell us about Phoenix. How are you serving folks?
Phoenix Parking Solutions caters to all aspects of the parking industry, from residential, retail, hotel, hospital, valet, garage, surface parking. But really during this COVID pandemic, we put a focus on the valet aspect, as it's still a need in certain locations for larger metropolitan cities. And we wanted to make sure that since our clients needed us and our staff had to be out there, that we were keeping the customer safe as well as our staff safe.
So when the pandemic came about and you realized that you're going to have to do some things differently in regard to valet, what were some of the ideas that you guys were spitballing about and coming up with a way to solve on this problem?
Well, luckily, a couple of years ago, we joined an organization called the National Parking Association. It's an optional company that parking operators and vendors have the option to pay yearly to be a member of. And they really went to bat for all of the people that are members of that community, and it created a COVID page and had started hosting weekly peer-to-peer calls. And we started working together on these calls, discussing what are you doing that, you specialize in hospital valet, and what are you doing and what are you seeing here on the West Coast, and, what's happening in Texas, and what are you guys doing in New York? And that was very invaluable in our research to find out what is the best options moving forward. They also hosted presentations on next steps forward for safety in the industry, and on like chemicals for cleaning cars that are safe, and understanding the difference between sanitize and disinfect. But we really tapped into that resource to design our new process.
And that's great advice for any business owner in any industry, that a lot of times there's national associations that are kind of pooling best practices from all across the country or the world that you might be able to take advantage of when something like this, or just even regular stuff happens, that they're thinking about things you might not have thought of yet.
Exactly.
So now, so the solution, it sounds like, is kind of a hospital-centric solution that people were able to roll out, or you're able to roll out now?
That's correct. One of the operators that was on the peer-to-peer calls, the hospital set their standards for the valet operations and said, this is how you're going to do it, which obviously I felt was, probably one of the best practices. And I had to figure out, how do we take that procedure, which is used in a medical setting where they have more time and things are not, so rushed for people getting in and out, into more of a high volume setting, such as a restaurant. And we took those procedures and modified them ever so slightly, and have had great success with it. Most of the customers, if someone pulls in and they are hesitant to valet about someone getting in their vehicle, once we explain our process to them, it's typically okay, I'm fine with that. And that's what we're looking for. We want to reassert that consumer trust that at least from Phoenix's standpoint, we're doing the best we can to help protect them and our staff.
And it's one of those things where this is really important to communicate, to almost over communicate, right? This is how this is going to go, because this is going to be new for everybody. So to let them know that you're taking it seriously and you have thought this through and have systems in place. It's not just the business as usual. So to walk me through for the listener, if somebody is going to go to a Phoenix Parking Solution valet experience, what is that now like?
Guest pulls in as usual. All of the valets are wearing masks, which we had logoed, and just to make guests feel comfortable knowing that someone walking up to their car and open the door with a black mask on, especially you can imagine in the wintertime, if someone's wearing a beanie and sunglasses and a black mask, you can't see their face and they're coming to your door, that could be potentially unsettling. So we logoed it so that way the guest still feels confident knowing that the person who's about to open their door is the one that they're supposed to. And also we had them custom made where they are a 3-ply and pass the candle test to keep our staff safe as well as the guest. We use Sandy wipes, which you see in restaurants when they wipe down the tables. And those are provided by whichever facility we are providing valet for. And the valet will grab a Sandy wipe when they're approaching the vehicle, grab the outside of the door with that wipe, open the door, and then back away 6 feet. Welcome the guest in, and as the guest gets out, we take their mobile number. We use a software vendor called Ubio to power our contactless digital valet process. And the guest receives a text message from us after we log the information for the vehicle, welcome them to that particular facility, and we inform them that when they are ready to go, they just simply click that link, follow the prompts. It lets us know they're on the way out so we can get the vehicle back up for them. They have the ability to pay and to tip, as we also went cashless, since there's no way for us to stay 6 feet away from a guest and, hand cash to each other unless we decide we want to start, building little paper airplanes and flying them back and forth. So once the guest has left the vehicle to head to the facility, the valet will wipe down the enter door handle and where all buttons may be there, the steering wheel, the gear shifter, and then he'll park the car. He'll take the keys out with the Sandy wipe as well and run back to the key box where he will wipe those keys down and hang them up. And then we follow the similar process when pulling the vehicle back up. Once it's been requested from the guest, they take a Sandy wipe with them, they pull the vehicle back up, and then as they get out of the car, put it in park, wipe it down, wipe down the keys. The steering wheel is set for the proper direction it needs to go, wipe it down, open the door, wipe it down again, and of course the outside. It's very thorough process, but at the end of the day, I feel that it's keeping the guests safe and my staff safe. We, knock on wood here, haven't had any reports of anyone having or being COVID due to work as far as my staff is concerned with these processes.
Now, do you think that after this pandemic's over, you're going to be able to kind of use some of these techniques moving forward?
I would hope so. I think that this pandemic has brought an eye-opener to a lot of people about just cleanliness in general. And it's definitely made me take a closer look at the valet process of getting in one car and touching where someone could have sneezed right before they came in, and then getting in the next car where someone might have been eating food or drinking coffee or whatever it may be. But you're going from car to car to car to car, and never in the past washing your hands or, disinfectant wasn't something that was on site. You just did these things. And I think the process of wiping things down before you touch them and after you touch them just to keep it clean is something I would like to find a way to work with clients to maintain moving forward, as long as it can be done practically.
And I would think also that touchless paying and the texting and stuff it sounds pretty efficient, and that saves the customer a lot of problems where they're always searching for money to tip and things like that. or that kind of goes away if you can implement some of that contactless payment?
We actually converted the entire company digital prior to COVID, and it helped us be ahead of the race here and trying to figure out what to do. As all the staff was fully trained, and this was not a new process for us concerning the contactless and digital payments.
So that's something that Phoenix Parking Solutions has been pretty kind of forward thinking when it comes to the technology, right?
Yes, that's correct. We also have a text to park tap or scan solution for our garages, digital monthly pass platform. So instead of having to have a decal or hang tag for your vehicle, or having to go to an office to pick it up or and display those type of items, it's just automatically active based upon your license plate. It provides a additional contactless experience for the guest on that aspect. And for the hotel platform, it actually integrates with the, for example, a Fairfield or a Marriott hotel and their operating system for the front desk. So if someone makes a reservation when they arrive, welcome to the hotel. What's the name on your reservation? It clicks and lets the front desk know. It tracks all the payments back and forth, and guests being able to request their vehicle before they get downstairs. So you're coming down, about to jump on the elevator, you can go ahead and request it. It's a pretty fantastic system. I'm very happy with it, and all of the clients and 99% of the customers have been pretty satisfied with it based upon our reviews.
So now this is a pretty turbulent time for the hospitality industry. How are you guys navigating this, and what are you like? What's your growth look like coming, moving forward into 2021?
I agree. It's definitely very turbulent times for restaurants. For us, at our more higher end facilities that have came back on and actually brought valet back to the business, we're seeing only about a 20 to 25% decrease in the amount of cars we were parking. And I contribute that to the reduction in Ubers and public transit, where people are not feeling safe to get, or as safe as they did to get in those vehicles. And we're not seeing so many people being dropped off and picked up either. Then that's making up our difference in how many cars we use to park.
It's interesting how all these technologies intersect with each other in surprising ways. I'm sure you're well aware of the impact of Uber, but maybe a layperson wouldn't understand how Uber affects the parking business.
As Uber and rideshare came in, it definitely took a dip on the parking industry for sure. But we've all made it through it, and I think it's an essential part of transportation itself. It was a great movement, and I'm glad to be part of it and working with those guys. But it's played in our benefit here, allowing us to get closer back to business and revenues back to somewhat similar numbers as they were before. During this time period.
Now, are you looking to grow outside of Atlanta? Is your company Atlanta only, or do you have do parking all over the country?
We are Atlanta based right now. We are looking to expand throughout the Southeast. I recently brought on a new business development manager, and with that being his sole position, and we have done some target marketing in areas like Chattanooga and Nashville. We'll be looking in Charleston, Savannah, Birmingham, places like that to start off. But very excited for the upcoming years, opportunities and expanding throughout the Southeast for sure.
So now, what is the sales and marketing like for that person? Who is the person that they have to talk to? The owners of the buildings or the people who own the restaurants?
Well, it all depends, actually. For this, I know for the city of Atlanta, even once I get past the gatekeeper to find the decision maker, then if we are charging to park, the city of Atlanta requires you to have what's called park for hire permit. And on that park for hire permit, you have to have landowner authorization that's been notarized. So even if you're the leasee, say, of the restaurant, the landowner must notarize a form that we provide to the city saying that they know that Phoenix Parking Solutions is going to be operating on their property. So there's a couple of hoops you have to jump through, definitely in Fulton County, in comparison to some other cities that are not as strict. But the restaurant typically makes their decision when you are dealing with a multi-purpose development, such as apartments or condos on the top and restaurant retail on the bottom. That could go for a couple different options. Maybe they allow the restaurant to choose their own valet. In certain situations, the landowner chooses and they do not have the option for their vendor, or they hire a outside property management group to run everything, and that's who you have to speak with. So figuring out who your point of contact is can be sometimes the hardest part in your barrier to grow.
Yeah, I would imagine there's a lot more complexity than I would have thought. So you're dealing with city, county, sometimes state regulations, and then plus you have to find all the kind of stakeholders in this. It's a lot more complicated than I would have thought.
It most definitely is, for sure. And then, just going through the process, once you find the right person, can be, kind of stringent. You want to make sure that you're developing an efficient plan that's going to cater to their needs and provide the best frictionless consumer experience as possible.
Well, it sounds like you guys are kind of ahead of the game in terms of being proactive and thinking about each of your constituents' best interests. So congratulations on that. And it sounds like being part of that National Parking Association has really paid dividends.
It most definitely has. We have an upcoming expo here for all members next week, and excited to see what they're rolling out, as well as they've asked me to be a participant panelist on one of the segments that they're doing for the rest of the members to see, and excited to work with the rest of the panelists on there and provide some great information out there to the rest of the community.
Good stuff. Well, it's funny. There's an association for everything, So
that there definitely is.
People, I don't think people realize that. There's an association for associations. So it's a wild world when businesses need kind of that support, and they need kind of that infrastructure to help them know what they don't know, because a lot of these industries are more complex than meets the eye.
Yeah, and I'm very grateful to have the NPA as that resource, because for us as parking operators, we don't have something that's city except for regulations. We don't have a Georgia Board of Cosmetology or a Georgia Restaurant Association, things like that we can use as resources. Really, the only place that connects us all nationwide is the NPA, and with the parking industry being a $131 billion annual parking revenue industry just for the U.S. and employing over 1.3 million jobs, you'd think we'd have a little bit more resources.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on all the success, Jeff. Thank you so much for sharing your story today. If somebody wanted to learn more about Phoenix Parking Solutions, what's the website?
www.phoenix, that's PHOENIX, parking solutions with an S.com.
Good stuff. Well, thank you again for sharing your story.
Thank you, Lee. I appreciate it.
All right. This is Lee Cantor. We'll see you all next time on Atlanta Business Radio. And remember, this work would not be possible without the support of our sponsor, OnPay. Please support them so we can continue to share these important stories.
Today's episode of Atlanta Business Radio is brought to you by OnPay. Built in Atlanta, OnPay is the top-rated payroll and HR software anywhere. Get 1 month free at onpay.com.